Don't mess up my tree.
Probably we're gonna drop the tree.
I moved it slightly.
Okay.
You good? Did you grab? Yeah.
Right over here. Yep. Hi everyone. Welcome to Shelf Control. I'm Norm.
I'm Lisa.
And we're using our temporary studio right now. Got a mic,
AKA our living room.
got a mic down here. I'm trying not to hit.
So hopefully you won't
So
hear a lot of
hopefully-
crackly noises. So we've got a dog in here. We've got our living space in here while we fix our basement issues with our water heater. So this is our new studio for a few videos.
So this is going to be the start of the new year. New year, new space. So,
No.
and then we'll go back to the old space.
Okay.
But so hopefully the lighting is okay. Hopefully the sound is okay. But
And
enough
who
of
knows
that.
if we like this enough, this might be the new space.
We'll keep this tree up stockings all year. So this will be the new look.
So this has been a video in the making. This has been something we've wanted to do for years now. I can say plural. Gloomhaven. So we have been playing this. We started playing this with our son years ago, and then something happened and we stopped playing it. So Norm and I played it, play through together and beat the game. And then we decided to play it again as baddies.
Are we the baddies?
Yeah,
But we never finished.
Because in the game you make decisions as to who you're going to help and stuff. And so we went through one way, and then we were like, you know what? We missed half the content by doing stuff, so we'll just go through as the baddies and make the bad decisions.
Maybe I made some bad decisions along the way.
And
We never finished
I think
that.
we got about halfway through that.
And then our son came back and said, nope, I want to play this again. Why did we ever stop? And so we started
right
all
from the
over
beginning
again. And, you know, he doesn't live with us, so he committed to coming over a couple times a week to play it. And then, of course, just life. So we finally got back to playing it consistently. Finally beat it, and we were so excited. Now time to move on to Frosthaven. And our son was like, nope, we've got to do Forgotten Circles. So we had to do this one and get through it to finally move on to Frosthaven. So that's it. That's a wrap for this video. Let's go play Frosthaven.
Well, we should talk about this a little bit. Because with me and Lisa playing, we've got 2.5 playthroughs of this game. So I don't think people can be like, well, maybe you didn't play it enough. And that's why you guys are wrong.
And even more history, him and our son David started playing this game with my brother and his son. And
so even more.
And then that kind of stopped moving. Things like that happened. And then he started playing again with our son and his friend, and that fell apart. And then that's when he and I decided to start playing.
There were a number of false starts, and so it was like, okay, she's a captive audience. We're going to do a 2-character playthrough. That way we're guaranteed to get through once.
Yeah, there's no excuse I can make for not playing.
So, I don't know how much of an explanation we need to give on Gloomhaven. It was the #1 game on BoardGameGeek for quite a while before it got pushed out.
What pushed it out?
Brass.
Brass?
And then I think Pandemic. I think were the...
Which brass?
Brass balls.
Brass,
A brass door knocker?
Lancashire. Birmingham? Whichever one we don't have.
Okay. That's one we wanted at Nerds Day.
The one that
and
we wanted to get at Nerds Day, and
The one that got away.
We took too long to pull the trigger,
white
and,
whale.
and it sold out. So maybe we'll find another deal on that somewhere down the road. But so yeah, so I think Gloomhaven is now #3 on BoardGameGeek. But so it's fairly well known, fairly popular. Had the incredibly successful sequel, Frosthaven Kickstarter, that was $14 million. So. Anyways,
So this is how the game comes. But as you can see, we've got a lot of stuff here. So we are, me and our son David are very structured and organized. So we needed more structure to the chaos of the game. So you can play with just what's in here, and that's fine. We, however, needed a bit more organization. So we bought a accordion folder, and this holds all of our maps, our map tiles.
Why can't I?
Maybe.
Why can't I get?
Okay. Oh dear.
we go.
Okay.
So
we've
accordion's out with pockets to hold your
and
individual
so
maps.
your maps are labeled, A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3 kind of thing. So double-sided. And so we organized those. So now when we put together a map, we just pull out the appropriate tile for it. So that makes it easier for us to deal with that.
We did Plano boxes.
We have Plano boxes to hold all the pieces of the games in. So doors, obstacles, just anything like that. David kept up with these, so he has it organized the way he wanted it. And so we just have 3 of these, and this helps us to be able to locate everything we need without the chaos of shuffling through the boxes to find it.
And I think this is probably a big quality of life improvement if you are going to play the game, because having all the tokens stored in one area that you have to like hunt through to find the different bits is time consuming for setup, and I can see that being a problem. Having the Plano boxes just makes it so much easier, because these traps are here, and these pressure plates are here, and the rocks are here, and the tables are here, and so you just gotta open it up, and once you learn the layout of the Plano boxes, it goes much faster.
Mm-hmm. And of course the maps and the Plano boxes were David's responsibility to keep up with, so he enjoys that kind of stuff. We also got a leather binder to hold the shop. So as new items are, is that just the first level?
This is just
Okay.
the first. Oh, well, no, that's actually the unlockable stuff.
Oh, don't show that.
Spoilers.
Sorry.
Spoilers.
So as
there's your starting items here.
So we would have, and as you grow in prosperity and earn prosperity, you open up more stuff in the shop. So we had all of those things kind of blacked out and would only expose them as you got to that level.
So this one's not quite as much of a necessity, but it's nice when it's like, okay, I want to buy something from the shop. You grab this, and then you just like flip through, and you can read everything
Right.
and see
You don't
their
have to
prices.
keep flipping through cards.
Instead of a stack of cards full of duplicates and
Yep.
stuff. Those pockets hold it nice.
And I think one of the best things that we did was we got these plastic boxes.
From they're photo boxes from Michael's. Every now and then they'll do a sale where these things are like $12-13 for this box of 16.
And so each of us would get a box for our character that we were playing with, and we would keep everything for that character in these boxes. So that made it very organized. When it was time for us to play, we would just pull out our box. And so when we would retire characters, we would still keep them in the box. Norm would print out something to go in the box. So I can't turn this around because there'd be spoilers, but all of these are characters.
You can take one out here. This is one of the starting characters, the Tinkerer. And so I printed out an insert that has their symbol and their name on it. So when you store it in the box, you have the list of all the people. And as we retired, I would print these out and then keep them in the box. And so we have everybody that we unlocked in Gloomhaven in here. I think there's actually a couple that have to go into another box, and so then Frosthaven will go into some. We also have Jaws of the Lion that David was like, no, I don't want to play Jaws of the Lion before Frosthaven. We're going to do Frosthaven.
Yeah, he did originally want to play that before Frosthaven, but as we were getting through Forgotten Circles, we were starting to get very desperate. So we had Frosthaven for months at this point. And we hadn't opened the box. We hadn't looked at anything because we wanted to do that, all three of us together. And so it was very unnerving to sit there and look at this box every day for months knowing you can't open it. So when we finished Forgotten Circles, we were like, screw it. We're not doing Jaws of the Lion. We're going straight to Frosthaven.
So we've started Frosthaven. We did a couple scenarios. I think we're on the second one. I think as well. So we won't be talking about that one today. We're just going to be talking about the OG Gloomhaven.
Yeah. And with how long it took to play this one, it may be a couple years before you see that review, but hopefully not that long.
So
Gloomhaven.
Gloomhaven.
Would you call it a dungeon crawl?
It's totally a dungeon crawl, but it also has a Euro type twist on it. Instead of just being like a dice battle where you're running through and rolling dice and things like that, he's added on this puzzle where your character has a supply of cards that will change as you level up. But out of those available cards, your character can only bring a certain number of them, 9 of them or 10, 11 of these specific cards. And so when you start a scenario, whichever cards you pick, so the Tinkerer gets a starting hand of 12 cards. And so throughout that whole scenario, you've got these 12 cards in your hand. And the cards are two halves, a top action and a bottom action, and has an initiative number in the middle of it. The initiative number is how you decide how fast you want to go. If you want to go fast, you'll pick the lower of the two numbers. If you want to go slower, you'll pick the higher of the two numbers. And then after everyone's picked their cards and reveal, you then sort everybody out in initiative order, including the monsters, how fast they're going to go, and then you take your turn in that order. So you have a little bit of a puzzle of, do I want to go fast? Do I want to go slow? If I want to go fast, is this going to be fast enough? Because I want to go before this monster, but maybe after this monster. And so you got to kind of think, it's like, okay, if that monster is going to go really fast, then I need to maybe not take this card, but take this other card that's faster. It's not the best action that I want to take, but it would let me do it first, which would be very important because then the monster could move out of position or something. So you pick your two cards, and then when it's your turn in initiative order, you can do the top half of one of the cards and the bottom half of the other card. So you almost take those two cards, pick a top and a bottom, and put them together, and that's your action for the turn.
So the numbers, if we were to just do these two cards, the initiatives are 17 and 46. So if you want to go fast, you'll play this. You'll use 17 as your initiative, and then you'd pick which ones. You do the top of one, bottom of the other, or vice versa. And in this case, you've got the option. You can move 3, and then you can heal 3, range 3. So you can heal one of your partners. One of your allies is the word I'm looking for. The other option would be to move to heal 1 an adjacent ally, or you'd put this out on your next 4 heal actions, add +2 heal. So each time you heal, you would use one of your ticker tokens and kind of
mark how many you've used it. Because after so many uses, it gets
you lose the card.
It gets lost.
It gets in the lost pile.
Yeah. So you've got 2 states of cards after you've played them. You'll play them and they go into a discard pile, and then so they're not available to you anymore. So on your first turn with the Tinkerer, you have 12. On the next turn, you've got 10 cards to pick 2 from, and then 8, and then they go into the discard. But there are also some more powerful abilities, like this one that stays out, or you might have one that does a one-time thing that's stronger, and it has a symbol, the little card symbol with an X. That means that card is lost afterwards.
Yeah, so this one would be create any 6 damage trap in an adjacent empty hex. Gain 2 XP when the trap is sprung by an enemy. So that's a lost card, but it gives you a 6 damage trap that you get to play somewhere. So that's
And
a pretty strong card, but once you play it, you've lost it. You can't use it again.
Yeah, so you've got your discard pile on one side, your lost pile on the other side. Lost cards are no longer available to you the rest of that scenario. So when you've got nothing else to do, when your hand is empty or you have one card left, or sometimes you might want to take a rest early, although that's not the most beneficial, but you might want to do that if everyone else is resting and you're getting ready to charge into a new room. You might be like, okay, I'll rest too.
And you have the option of doing two different forms of resting. You can either do a long rest, which is your initiative is 99, you're going to go last. You end up getting 2 health when you long rest. Any items that you may have had that you had to tap, you get back when you long rest, and you get to select one card from your hand or from your discard pile that you're going to lose. So that becomes a lost card. So when you long rest, you have that option of choosing the card from your discard pile that you're going to lose for the rest of the scenario.
But for that turn, that's all you're doing.
Yep.
So if you're standing in the middle of a group of monsters, they're all going to take actions against you while you're sitting there just resting.
Your other option is a quick rest. So at the end of that, you'll announce you're going to quick rest. At the end of that round, you're going to take all of your discards from your discard pile, and you're going to have one of your allies pick one at random. And that's the card you're going to lose. So you don't get 2 health back. You don't get to untap any of your items. You did a quick rest so that you can continue to play and not risk getting destroyed by the monsters around you. You can choose not to lose that card that was picked. And if that's the case, you lose 1 health, and then your allies pick from that pile again. And whatever this card is the card you're losing. So you got to be careful. So you need to really make sure that if you want to take that 1 damage, there's not another card in your hand that you can't lose. So those are the 2 options you have to rest. And then you keep on with your turn and destroy monsters.
So what's different with other dungeon crawlers, a lot of other dungeon crawlers, your health is the only thing that's dictating whether or not you can continue. In Gloomhaven, if you take enough damage, you're out, but you can choose to lose a card to prevent 1 chunk of damage. So if somebody hit you for 5 and you only have 4 health, you can lose a card
from your hand
to stay in.
If
you can choose to take 2 from your discard and lose those, which is brutal, but it keeps you in the game.
You become exhausted when you have no cards left in hand to play, and you have no cards left to have a turn from resting.
And that's the primary way you're going to get knocked out. Because there's no way you're going to be like, well, I took 5 damage. I don't want to lose this 1 card in my hand, so I'm just going to be out. No, you're going to lose that card. So as you get hit, you're going to keep losing cards until it's like, okay, I can't. I got hit. I'm out. Or if you don't die, anytime that you can't put 2 cards together at the beginning of your turn,
you're exhausted.
You're exhausted, so you're sitting out.
And you're out.
And so you can't do like the slow, steady, all right, let's deal with this guy. And then there's all this loot in the room. Let's go pick it up before we go to the next room, because
the clock's ticking.
Your clock's ticking. You're getting tired. And so that's kind of the Euro kind of puzzly part. It's not just I'm going in, rolling dice, and as long as I got 1 health, I can still keep swinging. It's you've got a certain amount of time to get this done in, and as things are hitting you and you're losing cards, not only is the end coming, but you're losing a lot of your actions too. So you're left with, okay, this is my last turn. These are the only 2 cards I got, so I'm going to try and make them work. And you put them out there, and hopefully you're able to beat the scenario.
And there's different objectives to each scenario. Some maybe you have to destroy all monsters. Sometimes there's a particular objective you have to achieve in order to beat that scenario. But usually, well, in every case, if one of your allies gets exhausted, the other members of the team can continue on. And so just because one person gets exhausted does not mean you lose that scenario. So everybody gets to keep going. If you're exhausted, you just sit there and you watch your teammates play and root for them. And so even if another person gets exhausted, if there's only one person left, they can still defeat that scenario and everybody gets the benefit of that. So just because one person's out doesn't mean you're all out. I think there was one scenario, you and David both became exhausted and we thought for sure it was lost. And me being who I am, just went into the final room and just became a crazy lady and killed everybody, and we won the scenario.
Yep. And so as long as the scenario goal is met, then you'll get rewards for completing the scenario. XP, money, maybe some items, maybe something that'll unlock other scenarios so you can start going down the story path more.
So you get experience. There's certain cards you can play that will give you XP based on those cards. So you'll keep a tick of each XP you make. If you defeat the scenario, usually you get a bonus amount of XP for everybody. Loot, if you pick up money anytime you kill a monster, it drops a loot, it drops a money. Other times there's money, there's chests to loot in certain rooms. So you can accumulate all of that. With your money, you can buy items in Gloomhaven from the store. With XP, you level up, and when you level up, you get more cards. Your hand size stays the same, but you get higher, stronger cards that you can replace ones in your hand with. And you also will get, what are they called?
Oh,
for the perks. What do you?
Perks.
What's the card you get?
You get everyone gets a battle goal.
Battle goal,
which is kept secret.
So you don't tell anyone what you get 2 to choose from. You choose one, you pick one, and the other gets discarded, and then that's what you're trying to do. So even if you become exhausted, but the scenario is beat, if you achieved that secret goal, you still get the benefit of it. And usually it's a check mark. Sometimes it could be 2 check marks. And with each check mark, you make a check mark on your battle sheet for your particular character. And when you get 3, you fill a section up, you get a perk. And these perks are different benefits to your character. You get to change out your battle deck. What's it called?
Modifier deck.
So these are ones if you're doing an attack 2, you'll flip up your battle deck, and it's a +1. So your attack 2 is now an attack 3. So there's different ones in here that help you. You get a starting deck.
It's basically like there's 20 cards in the deck, so it's almost like a custom 20-sided die. But instead of rolling a 20-sided die, you're flipping over a card that is +2, +1, 0, -1, -2.
×2.
There's a ×2, which is like a critical hit, and then there's like a critical miss that doesn't do any damage if you flip it. And what's neat is with these perks, a lot of them will do stuff like remove 2 -1 cards. So if you take that one, you're taking 2 -1s out of your deck. And so now, instead of a 20-sided die, you have an 18-sided die that has fewer negatives on it. And so as you're playing, you can fine-tune your 20-sided die to keep coming up beneficial instead of negatives. And I think that's a neat way to do it with a custom dice, basically. And because these perks are so important for fine-tuning your attack modifier deck, these battle goals are things that might not be the most beneficial to completing the scenario. It might be like kill fewer than 3 monsters or something like that. And if you're the main damage dealer and you pick that perk, you can't tell other people what your battle goal is.
But they're going to expect you to go in and defeat all the monsters because you're the battle dealer.
And
so you're going to just go in and be like, I'm going to loot instead of attacking. And
so people will start wondering, be like, oh, you're in a perfect position to pick up that chest, and anything that you don't loot before the end of the scenario is lost. So it's like, we need somebody to get that chest. You're in a perfect position. And you're like, no, I'm not going to get that chest. Somebody else can get it. And people are like, okay, he's got the battle goal not to get a chest. And so instead of doing the best thing for the party, he's instead going to go over here. And we have to try and get over there to get that chest. And so these battle goals, I think, make the scenarios a lot more interesting.
Yep.
Because it does change up that puzzle where you're like, if I do what's best for the party, I'm not accomplishing this. But
I really want that because I can get a
I
perk.
really want this. Can we win the scenario if I don't do this and do this other thing instead so I can accomplish my battle goal?
You know, there's one that says you have to open a door, but it could be there's only one door in the entire scenario and your ally's closest to it, and you may be like, why don't you go do this and I'll open that door and go through that room. Again, you can't tell anyone that that's your objective, but people are like, gotcha.
Or you get one that says, kill the first monster. And you're like, well, I'm the damage dealer. This is going to be easy. And then somebody just is like, well, I'm going to attack this thing, flips their ×2 and kills it. And be like, well, I didn't expect the healer to kill the first monster.
And then you're just grumbling under your breath. That's not achievable at all.
But then you're not shackled anymore. So you can just do whatever you want the rest of the scenario and you're fine.
So based on decisions you make in the game, it opens up new scenarios, new paths to take. You have road events that you have to do. You have city events that you do when you're in Gloomhaven, and you decide what you do based on those scenarios, and that determines the path you go on. It can unlock new scenarios. It can unlock new directions for you to go in the game. So it's quite clever.
It can also lock out scenarios where it's like you choose to do this. Okay, well, because you made that decision, you can't do this now. And so, it's like, do you help this person or not? And it's like, if you help them, you go here. If you're not helping them, you go there. And then you go there and you defeat that person. It's like, well, that person's not there for you to do this kind of thing, as an example. So
there's also events that if you have certain characters in your party, you get a benefit from it. And of course, you don't know what characters you need. So, but sometimes based on the descriptions in the card, you can say, oh, I bet a tinkerer would be really good here. And so you make your decision, and then the resolution says, if you've got a tinkerer, then this. And so that's helpful as well. Sometimes you make a decision and you don't have that character and you don't get the benefit.
Yeah, sometimes, if it's something like a broken down wagon that you meet in the road event, you're like, oh, I got a tinkerer, we can help this. And if the card will say, if you have a tinkerer, read this, and you do something great, you fix it, and the guy pays you or something. But there'll also be times where you might think, it's like, oh, this scenario is perfect for such and such, let's do this, and then you read it, and it's like, no, that doesn't, being a tinkerer didn't actually help there.
You're totally wrong there.
and so there's some things where you got to try and think about what you're going to do. And with the road events, sometimes picking the wrong thing will give you like a negative condition or something that you take into the next scenario because it's happening on the road to that scenario, where it's like you all start with a poison, or you have to discard 2 cards at the beginning. So the choices that you made traveling the road to where you were going makes what you're doing a little bit more difficult. Or if you're lucky, you can actually get a benefit. And so the city events are when you go back after the scenario, you have a little event in the city, and those generally don't have any negatives that carry on because you're staying at the city.
You also get a retirement goal.
Yes.
So when you pick your character, you also pick a retirement goal. Again, you get 2 options. You pick one, and then that's got a achievement that you're supposed to achieve, whether it be you have to kill a certain number of a particular monster, or you have to defeat a certain scenario, or go to a scenario, and once you defeat it, then follow the path of that scenario to its conclusion. And then once you achieve that final conclusion on your retirement goal, your character retires immediately. And they're gone. That's when we create these boxes. And based on your retirement goal, it tells you the next character that you'll be. So when you retire, you can either choose to be that character, or you can choose to be a character that's already been released somehow.
Right. It unlocks a character. So there's 6 starting characters that are unlocked at the beginning of the game. And so, like in the 2-player game with me and Lisa, we were playing 2 of them, so there was 4 there. If she retired, she would unlock another one, bringing it up to 5, and she could pick any of those, or even the one that she was, but it would be a new instance of that character. Where, are you trying to get up on the couch?
There he goes. There you go.
So you could actually be like, I really liked that character, I'm going to play it again, but it's a different person.
Mm-hmm.
So you would start at whatever level you would start at. As you get further in the game, you'd start at a higher level, so you don't come in as a level 1 playing with people who are level 7 or 8 or whatever. But that would be a totally new instance of that person. You don't get to carry over the same abilities or anything like that. So most of the time, you would unlock a character, and especially if it was one that we hadn't unlocked before, you were definitely going to be like, well, I'm going to be that because I want to see what it is, because everything is sealed until you unlock it. And so all you have, this is one of the starting ones, but all you have is like the symbol on the outside of the box, and be like, all right, this has a gear on it. It might be something robotic, machiney. I don't know. It's like, oh, this one's got pointy bits on it. Maybe it's attacks, but you don't really know until you open it up. And that's part of the excitement of the game, is unlocking these things. And so,
and as when you retire your character, it adds more either city event or road events into your deck.
Because you'll meet them later.
You can meet them on your quests. So it's really neat, and it blows my mind. My mind is not a creative type mind, but the thought that went into this, and how he was able to put all of this stuff together, and these paths and these connectors. You know, I just imagine him, the designer, in his room with like the red strings attached from one end to another, and the room is complete chaos as he created it. But he did a phenomenal job. I don't know of anything that I would change or redo on it.
Yeah, and I had gotten the second printing. I didn't get in on the first Kickstarter. And then when I heard about this game, reading about it on BoardGameGeek, it's like, I really wish I got in on this. But they did a second Kickstarter, and I got in on that. And so I think there were some printing changes to fix some things maybe in here, but there weren't a lot in the first printing that I know of. And so, yeah, kudos to Isaac Childress for coming up with this huge story with all these interlocking parts, characters that show up at random, and really got a game that works.
When you first got this game, you were so excited about it, and I was not really into the gaming genre at that time. And so I was just like, oh, this is ridiculous. And, oh, you need to show them what you did with the monsters.
Oh, yeah.
So you get, I'm jumping topics. So when the box came, it was all, it had all this foam and stuff in it for protection, and then you've got your monsters. And he went online and read that some people took the foam, that came with just as packaging, and they cut out shapes to hold all the monsters. And so that's what he did. And I remember him sitting in the kitchen with his pocket knife.
Just an X-Acto knife. This would be miserable with a pocket knife.
With his X-Acto knife, just carving shapes in this foam, and I just kept wondering what the heck he was doing.
And the amount of foam that they gave was just the right amount.
Just the right enough.
You heard what I said.
Even here, you could cut out for the for the bosses, and this one I would cut each little bit I would cut out so all the bosses would fit in there. And
I mean, whoever came up with that idea was amazingly clever.
I don't know who to give the credit to,
but thank you.
But yeah, that was great for.
And when we finally got to open Frosthaven, they did not have the foam, so we were so disappointed.
No, what are we gonna do?
We're gonna have to figure out a solution for the monsters for Frosthaven. But
so when we cover that, we'll show you what we've done, because I'm sure that
we haven't figured it out
what
yet.
we've done to set up initially is going to change as we play and find what works the easiest.
Yeah. So this was awesome, and of course David controlled all the monster setup. He controlled the map setup and all of the pieces that went on the map. So he enjoyed doing that. But
yeah, so here's the interesting thing with Gloomhaven. It's a legacy game, so you have a big map, and as you unlock scenarios, you unlock stickers that will go on the map. And so if you're doing it that way, you don't have the replayability. But like I said, we've played this 2.5+ times, and the reason for that is that the Gloomhaven community has come up with all kinds of stuff. There are websites that will let you track the map. It's basically, instead of using the physical map and stickers, you have a web page where when you unlock, it puts the stickers up for you, and it tracks what scenarios are available and which aren't. And so up until this last time playing with our son David, we would use that. So nothing got destroyed as we were playing it. But then when we started playing with David, we're like, okay, this is going to be the canon playthrough where we're going to play it straight through, the three of us. We're going to put the stickers on the map. We're going to mark up all the stuff.
And that's canon.
And so
when we did our playthrough, we elected not to choose retirement goals. I think did we end up opening all the boxes, you and I?
we got close.
Okay, so we didn't get to open all the boxes. So we chose retirement goals that did not open those particular boxes. Or if we did, we picked another character.
Once we decided that we were going to go with
David. There's a letter X or an envelope X that we chose not to open until we did the playthrough with David, so that we could enjoy some of this new stuff with him, since we had already experienced the game quite a few times. So we knew a lot of the game up until the end.
There were a lot of times where we would just let David make the decision as to what to do, because we experienced that event, or we experienced that scenario and knew what choices were going to be made at the end, and so let him enjoy the newness of it. But
and interesting,
he liked it when we got to parts where it's like, we don't know.
Yep.
So we would provide input.
And my favorite scenario of all is one we never did with David.
The wind. Yeah. There's one. It's got a really unique mechanic to it, and it's one that when we were playing through with two characters, I think that two characters made it really difficult. And so whenever you fail a scenario, you don't get the results, the rewards for completing the scenario, but any money you picked up or an XP that you got from playing cards you could carry forward, and you just retry the scenario. And I think we did it 4 times, but before we beat it. And generally, playing through a scenario a second time because you failed it kind of felt like, nah, this is.
But I enjoyed every single time.
But that one, the puzzle was so unique that it was like, okay, I know what we did wrong. Let's try this now. And so every time we would try something different, and finally got through, and that was like so satisfying. So also there are apps for tracking monster initiatives and their cards and your health and XP
And their health
and so and they're quite well done. The one we use is called X-Haven Assistant, and it has Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, Frosthaven,
Forgotten Circles,
and I think that Crimson Scales, I think it has that fan-made version in there as well. But it has things where it will show things, but then it doesn't show everything until, like, if you accomplish this thing that opens this new area, then it'll show you those new monsters and things like that. And
so it doesn't spoil anything. So the characters you get when you retire, it only shows you the symbol. It doesn't give you the character, the class, anything like that until you select it. So that's it's really nice that they don't spoil anything.
Yeah, when you click on add characters, all you have are the symbols. You have the names of the ones that you've unlocked, and then a bunch of question marks. And you have to click on it and say, I've unlocked this, in order to see the name of it. So it does a really great job of tracking the monster's damage that you've dealt to it and things like that. When you put your conditions on it. In Gloomhaven, you have a little square sheet that goes into an envelope that's divided up into little sections, and you pile your damage up in those little sections. And so you have to keep track of, okay, skeleton number 3 has 4 damage on it. Who out here is skeleton number 3? Where on the screen it shows skeleton number 3 has this damage, and it's a whole lot easier than counting what's down here and then attributing it to somebody there.
I'll be honest, I don't know if I'd want to play it or the way it's set up.
It saves up so much table space too.
Yeah.
Because you don't have all of that laid out. It's just all on the screen. And
that's my one job. My one job is doing the computer.
And you can even have it so your phone, if you have the app on your phone, you can host it on your tablet or computer, and everyone's phone ties into it, and so they see everything too, and they can do some stuff. What's neat with that is when you're selecting your cards, your initiative values are all hidden so you can't say I'm going at a 17. You can say I'm going fast or late or whatever, but you can't do any specifics. And so with the phone app, you can put in your initiative, but on the computer where everyone can see, it's just got question marks. It's not until you hit draw for the monsters that it's all revealed. Yeah. And so there was a character that I was playing that was really concerned about the level of health that they had. And so instead of keep asking, hey, what health am I at, and scrolling, I downloaded the app on my phone and connected, and I kept that there so I could always be like, okay, if I got a question about my character, I can look down here while everyone else is doing their thing, and that was really nice.
And we usually just have a tablet set up on the table, and that's where we keep track of everything, and it's set so that I'm able to still navigate it, but everyone can see it for the most part. So
that's one thing that I think is a plus for Gloomhaven, is that you can, if you play it with the apps, you can replay it. Even though we've used all the stickers, if we ever want to do Gloomhaven again, we would just bring up a website and just start new.
Yeah. Yeah, we
would know all the unlocks already, but if we wanted to play the puzzle again.
And when we played with David and finished it, we actually, completed the map. We did the stickers and everything. So now we have a completed map that we actually have hung on the wall, which is pretty cool to look at. And beside it, we have the Frosthaven map ready to go, so that when we're done, we'll have both of these maps completed and showing our progress and bragging rights and all that.
So I think we should talk about Frosthaven before we go into Forgotten Circles.
Frosthaven?
I mean, let's talk about Gloomhaven. Let's not talk about Frosthaven. We've only done one scenario. So,
And this is a review of Gloomhaven.
so what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think it's pretty clear about our thoughts of this game, but again, when he first got this game, it wasn't anything that I was interested in. And just hearing him talk about it, you know, him and David would go off to my brother's house and they would play a couple hours. He even had a period of time where he played with a couple friends of his. And that, I mean, it's such a time-consuming game. It's an investment. So you really have to be prepared to put the time in and the months in to play this game.
Yeah, there's like 100 scenarios that you're going to see most of them.
Right. And they're not, I mean, it may take you a couple hours to do one scenario. So it's not something that's easily done. Some scenarios are easier than others, but it's definitely a time investment. So when he asked, hey, do you want to play this with me? I did not want to play it, but he was so disappointed at the many times he had started and just the people weren't able to commit to it. And I knew he really wanted to play it, so I was like, fine, I'll do it. And
Relationship goals.
oh.
I'm not looking at anything. I'm looking at us.
So I said, yes, sure, I'll play it. And, you know, it was very confusing to find the right card combinations, but I mean, you pick it up fairly quickly, and I did really enjoy it. And so we would spend almost every evening, a couple hours every evening playing. So we got through it really quickly.
Yeah, and I think a testament to how enjoyable the game system is, we didn't waste any time when we were like, okay, let's do it again and play as the baddies.
Mm-hmm.
And we got like halfway through before we were like, oh, David's going to play with us. All right, so we'll stop. If David didn't, we probably would have continued through with the baddies and played again. But
I will say that's when we stopped to play with David, and that kind of fell apart within a few months just with his schedule. And at that point I was done. I was like, all right, I need a break from this. I'm tired of Gloomhaven. Because again, this was the third time you and I were seeing some of these scenarios, and so I was tired. And then when we finally got back to it with David a few months later, maybe even a year later, you know, I was refreshed and ready to go again. So we were able to play through it. There was enough time spaced in between because he would come on Wednesdays and Sundays after church. So we had enough time during the week that it wasn't the only thing. The only downside to it is we have so many other new games we want to show David, but David is tunnel vision.
If he's coming to play a game,
it's Gloomhaven.
It was Gloomhaven.
And now it's Frosthaven. So, I need him not to come up with another game so that we can show David some other new ones that we've got once we get through Frosthaven. But there was enough time. The game is enjoyable. I did burn out a little bit, but got refreshed and I'm ready to.
Well, the puzzle of picking those two cards that will work, and not only that, but being like, okay, if I play this card to go fast, that means I won't have that card later on to go fast. So maybe I take this turn going slow and see what happens. And the puzzle is intriguing. It's not like other dungeon crawls where it's just like, well, I'm going to run up and I'm going to hit it, and then I'm going to hit it again, and I'm going to hit it again. You've got that decision of, can I get hit, or should I go late so I can run up to something and hit it after it's already taken its action, and then on the next turn go fast so I can hit it and run away before it takes its action. And it feels like, I don't know, dynamic. Mm-hmm. It's like you're constantly making decisions as opposed to just, I'm going to fight this thing till it dies kind of thing. And the puzzle is really enjoyable. Mm-hmm. The game also comes with a deck of cards that you can use to randomize a scenario, where if you just want to play, be like some of these characters that we've unlocked, I've never played them. So I might be like, hey, you want to play Gloomhaven? Because I would really like to try that one character that you played that I never got a chance to. And so you could take that character, she could grab one, and then you've got these cards that you just flip over and be like, okay, this is what the room is like, this is where the monsters are, and just go through a 3-room dungeon just as a one-off. And there's a scenario in Gloomhaven where they actually like walk you through that, kind of to introduce you to this random scenario thing, which I thought was a great idea, because you're doing this scenario that teaches you how to do the random setup for just little standalones, and that was great. So I think it's pretty obvious. You want to give your score?
Do we need to?
I want to say 10.
It's a 10.
This is it might have some limitations, like the story is not the best. It's not the story is not what's pulling you through to the end. It's all the stuff that's locked up and hidden. It's the characters that you want to do. Those are the things that keep pulling you forward. It's like, if I open that chest, is it going to have an item or a map to a new scenario? And the story is just kind of the framework that the game is hanging on, instead of the game being a framework that the story is hanging on.
Does that make sense?
The story is just there to give you some sort of direction, but
it's a 10.
Yeah, the game's great.
Now, the only thing about Forgotten Circles that I will comment on is that we had just defeated Gloomhaven. David insisted that we play this expansion before we go Frosthaven. And we were more than halfway through with this when we were like, oh, we are so itching to play Frosthaven. So nothing against this game. It's just Frosthaven was just screaming at us, saying we need to get to it. So it's not a critique on Forgotten Circles at all. I enjoyed playing this. It introduces a new character, and
a new story,
and this character has to be used, which is interesting. And if this character is exhausted in any scenario, it's lost. So she has to be with you the entire time. So that's a challenge. That brought a new challenge to it. New scenario, new certain quirks. Quirk.
You know what a quirk is?
To this that was quite interesting. So it was a very good expansion, good game. We enjoyed it. It's just we were so ready for Frosthaven that we probably rushed through it more than we would have, and we were ready to be done when we got through it. So again, not anything against this. It's just a plus to Frosthaven of how anxious we were to get to it.
So one thing that I would say about this had a lot of unique scenario mechanics that were. Gloomhaven had a lot of, you got 3 rooms, kill all monsters. And they might mix it up, be like, you got 3 rooms, and the last room is an altar that you got to blow up. So you got to deal damage to it. It doesn't care. If you kill all the monsters, you can run straight in there and just start beating on that altar. And if you beat the altar, you win. So there weren't a whole lot of unique things other than the one that we really, really loved. Forgotten Circles, every scenario is like one of those. And
they were much more challenging.
Very challenging.
Much more challenging. And it could have just been the characters that we were. So David was the expansion character. Norm and I were characters that we had opened up through retirements. And so we probably didn't have the best characters to do the expansion.
I don't think we had a character that was made specifically to be a damage sponge, to tank damage. And so
that was a big challenge.
I took one of the characters and was like, I'm going to try and play this tanky. And
it's quite interesting. He did great.
It was an interesting way to play. It was like, you're picking different cards than you would if you were doing it the way that it was more designed for. And you're taking items that you normally wouldn't. And it was fun, but...
And the scenarios took a long time. So where when we were playing Gloomhaven, we could probably get through 2, sometimes 3 scenarios when David came over. Forgotten Circles, 1 scenario. And that was sometimes taking us late into the evening. So took much more time, much more challenging, but they were interesting. You had to figure out certain puzzles in it, and that was enjoyable.
So I would almost say, like when we got halfway through Forgotten Circles, we were tired that they were more difficult, so you would fail it and it would be like, well, we don't really have time to run it through again. So it's like, okay, next week when David shows up, we're gonna go through it again. And if we lost it again, it's like we don't want to wait another whole week to try it again. And so there were a couple times where it's like, let's just say we completed it to move on to the next story and try the next scenario, and then we would have fun, and then we'd get to another one where it would be that, and eventually, I think.
I wasn't gonna tell them that.
Well, I'm saying that because I think that maybe slogging through Gloomhaven hard and then going into Forgotten Circles immediately after could burn you out. Because I enjoy the unique mechanics of these scenarios. I would enjoy these unique scenarios a lot more if they were scattered throughout the normal basic ones.
Yeah.
To where it's like, okay, kill all monsters. Oh wow, we've got a conveyor belt that we have to deal with. I don't think there's a conveyor belt in here. There might be in the last half. I don't know. But something like that. It's like we got something new we have to deal with. Okay, this is exciting. We complete it. We're like, awesome. And then it's like, destroy this obstacle or kill all monsters again or loot this item. And then it's like, oh wow, look at this weird thing that we got to do. It was a little bit much that every scenario was like, look at this weird thing you got to do. Look at this other weird thing you got to do. And look at this other weird thing you got to do. And, I think, I don't know if maybe taking a break and then playing this would have been better. There were times where I was like, I just want to stop playing the character that I am, and I'll open up another one to go through. But then it was like, we're so excited to look at the new characters in Frosthaven, so it's like, let's just stop this and go to Frosthaven. So I wasn't gonna tell them that either. I'm gonna be honest. Forgotten Circles burned me out. But I think that's more. I think Frosthaven helped burn me out of Forgotten Circles.
Because again, Frosthaven's been sitting on our shelf for months, just beckoning us.
If I didn't have something else to go to afterwards, and maybe we would keep hitting for Forgotten Circles. But yeah, it's I think it's great as an expansion. But if you could somehow just
intertwine
play
them.
some of this and be like, oh, let's try this, and then let's go back to this. But this takes place at a different time period, because I mean it's the sequel. So I don't know. This is a really neat idea that probably influenced their scenario design in Frosthaven. So I'm really interested in seeing Frosthaven with these kinds of things shuffled together, and let's see how that goes.
Fingers crossed.
So
I think that's it.
Yeah. Do you want to give a rating for Forgotten Circles?
No.
It wouldn't be fair.
Yeah,
I don't think it'd be fair.
I don't think it's fair, because we played it at a very unique time where Frosthaven was just in the other room, just being like, guys.
I've been here for months and you haven't even taken the shrink wrap off.
Do you really want to play that scenario again? Because I got brand new ones over here, and it's like, I hear you, Frosthaven. I hear you.
So we listened to Frosthaven.
But it never really had a chance.
So
but no, Gloomhaven, solid 10. Solid 10 up there was one of my favorite games. I would not go through it again for a while. So I'm not opposed to playing it again, but I'm done with it for a while. But I enjoyed the playthrough that we had.
So they just did a Kickstarter where they did the Gloomhaven RPG, and I think you could get like the second printing of Frosthaven. But they also did they're doing a Gloomhaven 2.0, which I think they brought in professional storytellers to flesh out the story.
No.
They changed the mechanics of a lot of the characters.
No.
And changed a lot of the scenarios. So it's basically the same game. You're going to recognize it, but there's going to be, the story is improved.
No.
We don't need
I don't know. It's one of those things
it. We
that,
don't need it.
no, we didn't kickstart it. But it's one of those
we
things
don't
that
need it.
if we ever want to do Gloomhaven again,
We don't need it.
we kind of need it.
We don't need it.
So, I mean, we've got Frosthaven now. It's not even on the radar.
It's on radar.
Even when he goes to his used bookstore place, we don't need it.
So we'll see if we do 2.0, because I'm really interested. I'm less interested in the new story and stuff. I'm more interested in the redesign of the certain characters, because there were ones that you could tell when they were designed that they expected you to play it a certain way, but it was just more efficient and easier to just play it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Using the Mind Thief, it's one of the starting unlocked ones, so it's not a spoiler. He has cards that they call augments that you put out, and it modifies your attacks as long as it's out. And he has a bunch of those that it seems like their whole thing was like, you'd put this one out, and then in this situation you put this one out, and you just keep cycling through them.
Not gonna happen. No, not gonna happen.
But one of them, hands down, better than all the others. And so you just
kept it out.
You put that out and just ignored all the others. There was another card you get later that might let you get 2 augments out at one time. But it's like, no, I don't care.
You don't even need it.
I just want that one. And so I think the redesign has made it where they balance those, where maybe that one's not as strong, maybe the other ones are stronger. And so you're actually like,
It might happen.
oh, this is a perfect situation for me to put this one
Mm-hmm.
out. And I'd love to try that, because Mind Thief's one of my favorite characters.
Scoundrel's my favorite. She's
Yeah.
a starting.
I think we've said just about all we can. One thing I would add is the online on Steam. They have the online version of Gloomhaven, which handles all the stuff, and it is a great way to play. Me and a couple friends who don't live close to each other, we'll get together and get on Discord so we can talk to each other, and we'll play through some scenarios, and it's pretty much Gloomhaven on the computer.
Yep. David's got it. David will sometimes join them if his schedule allows. David gifted me with the game, so I've got it downloaded on my computer. So the 3 of us have played that.
Most of the time David will come over to play the board version, but we do have the option of Gloomhaven online. And so I'm sure eventually they'll have Frosthaven online, but it's
We won't be playing it because we're doing the hard version.
so if that's of interest to you, check it out on Steam.
Yeah, if that's more up your alley.
You can play it solo, and it handles everything for you. It handles the monster AI, where it moves and things like that for you, where there'll be times when we're playing that's like, who's the monster going for? What does the monster do in this situation?
Yeah. Are you within range? Things like that. The computer does it all for you, which is really nice.
And it does a good job of showing you how the monsters would move. It's because I'll be playing and I'll be like, okay, that monster's he's moving 3 and attacking 2. He's gonna move here to try and attack this person, and then you plan accordingly. And then he moves in a different way, and you're like, okay,
I didn't see that coming.
like, let me figure out. Okay, I see why he did that, and then I'll like send David a text and be like, hey, we've been doing monsters wrong. This is how he does it. So that's another benefit to the online. But yeah, I would encourage the board game or the computer, whichever one is better for you.
¿Por qué no los dos?
I think unless you absolutely hate dungeon crawls, it's
Why would you?
It's a game that should be played.
Yep.
It was number one for a reason.
Yep.
Maybe still should be.
Well, if you're comparing it to Brass, I mean, we haven't done that review
we'll
yet.
see.
But
We haven't reviewed Brass yet, so
this one's better.
we'll discuss that when that time comes.
So-
Anyways, thanks for being here this whole time. We're keeping it.
Oh yeah, we're gonna keep it.
We're gonna keep it. There's not even, now that we've taken the stickers out, there's no reason to even like try to sell it or give it away to somebody, because
No.
But yeah, we're
I
keeping
mean,
it.
David's even claimed he's taking it from us, but
So yeah, this will be his inheritance, I guess. So
yep, it's staying. Happy New Year to everybody. We are trying to set a goal of 1 video a week. We've had a lot of stuff going on with the holidays that's kind of prevented us from that, but we are trying to set that New Year's resolution. So if you've stuck with us these year or so, we appreciate it. We're going to do better. We're striving to do better. We may have makeshift studios throughout our filming this year, but we will try to stay consistent for you.
if you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, share it with people that you think would enjoy this. We don't do any active self-promotion, going to websites and asking people to watch.
No, we're just doing this for fun.
It makes me uncomfortable when I see other people do it, and so I don't want to do that. But I also want people to see us and decide if they like what we're doing and find a value in it.
Yep.
So it's kind of a tough spot there.
Irony can be so painful. That's a catch-22.
So if you guys can help us out with that, that'd be great.
Yeah, we're doing it because we enjoy it. He wants to get this going and started, and I'm along for the ride.
We've got a lot of games downstairs that we've got to play through and decide if we're keeping or getting rid of. And it's been slow. We'd like to pick up the pace. So anyways, we've talked long enough.
Yes, we have.
We'll see you in the next one.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Don't step on the dog. You were a good boy. Yes, you were.